Alright. Hey everyone. For those who don't know, my name is Zan, and obviously I'm going to be fighting Arc-Tempered Arc build. Yeah, that sounded weird in my head for some reason. I'm just making this video because I wanted to talk about the new, semi-new, what's it called, trailer for Wild's expansion, the Ascendance. There's been a lot of um, mm, already reactionary videos talking about it, and a lot of speculation, guesses, and theories. And a lot of them do make sense, of course. Um, a lot of man, I'm suddenly having a hard time focusing because I'm fighting this guy, but I'll try and keep my focus. So that the okay, I'll just start from the beginning. The expansion will come out in about a year. Obviously. That's a good thing. I really do think they need as much time as they can for it. And having it not come out till next year is such a good thing. Um, they really just need to have as much time as possible so it can come out polished and ready. Because obviously they've had a big issue with optimization. So, and this will give them more time to add things, more monsters. I doubt there'll be anything added between now and a year about maps, but maybe just polish out like corners, maybe add endemic lives, plants, stuff. Really like discuss the nitty-gritty of everything. Um, I am curious what the story is going to be like. So, we do know that there's going to be a sky map now, which is incredibly cool. And it makes total sense with the in-world lore because we already know that they've removed the weight of buildings, as they've mentioned. And this allows them to essentially put up either a silly or palace-like area into the sky. To what extent or size of the map's going to be, seems like it's going to be pretty big, because at the very least, they want a couple areas where monsters just roam around, as well as, you know, actually have some kind of structure there. First off, it'll likely have at least a castle or palace, like I mentioned, and then it'll need some kind of I want to say apparatus. Not sure if that's the right word. To like actually keep everything afloat, because I assume it's either attached to the Dragon Torch or has its own version of the Dragon Torch already there. Because you can see like certain structures that we've seen in the Windward Plains, like Raydow's nest. It has a big circular structure, and that is seen in the trailer in the sky. I'm curious as to how that fits in, because we're not actually told as to what that structure specifically does, and I'm curious to see how much of the weather effects are going to be implemented into the new map. I do like the weather's system. I do wish they did more with it though, because in the Windward Plains, there's supposed to be thunder and all sorts of things happening, but it really doesn't even feel like an inconvenience at all, and feels like as if they wanted to do something with it but backtracked. I would have liked it had it been like something that happened very often, and I mean like the thunder strikes to happen often and have a high chance of hitting you. I do want that to be a real like in-world inconvenience, because the game has even these what are they called? pillars that lightning rods. The Windward Plane has a lot of these, and we don't actually use them at all. So I would have liked had there been like a reason to use them. So having Thunder be more of a real inconvenience would have been really cool. Just to have more of an interactive map. But at the moment, that's just not really the case. And I would like to see more interaction with the map itself, since there's such a big focus on it. Things like that. Obviously, we're going to have Kushala de Orda. Don't quite want to talk about him yet. Included with the new map, there's going to be new monsters, of course. There is the really cool formation bird wyvern, it seems like. I've seen a lot of comparisons to it with other like jets or planes, where they have their similarities with like the red lights with the red like symbols on the sides of the alpha of the pack. It's also very Valstrax coded. I said that because there's people who've said it's very much like a Timu sort of Valstrax, and I find that really funny. Not sure how I'll feel about him being in the game, because I've never really fought him, so I don't have like any reference to like how he like feels fight wise. But Valstrax just is one of those monsters that I don't want to say I don't like, but I find awkward because it makes the game almost feel like a video game because of how video game it feels like they put into it. For example, Mitsusune, I don't find very realistic because I find Soap as a superpower. I say superpower just as a like how do I explain it? What's the right word for this? It having like bubbles and soap be part of its biology, I find very strange, and I'm not sure if I'm totally fond of it. But you know, Mitsusune is still a very pretty monster and very much liked monster, so I can't really say like I care that much. Like, it's still very pretty. I just find them a bit unrealistic, in the same way I find Valstrax that just looks like a massive jet of unrealistic. And that's kind of the extent of my opinion on that. Otherwise, I think it'd still be kind of cool to see Valstrax, even if he is, in my own opinion, unrealistic. However, you know, cool monsters are cool. And seeing them anyways would be very interesting. I would like to see what kind of fight it'd be like, especially with the changes done to Wilds in terms of combat. I have played a little bit of Rise. Just the base game, I've only barely done anything in the Sunbreak, let alone like finish its campaign and fought all the monsters. I just know a lot of the similarities between the combat of World and Rise. And now that they're adding boost bracers, honestly, I think that's really cool. It has the potential of being like switch skills, as well as being like what's it called? I think it's called like Valor Stance or something in the older gens. I've never played an old gen game, but I've heard that it very much changes your playstyle of a weapon, and I find that interesting. So having these boost bracers to further like extend what you can do in combat is very interesting. Very flashy. That's very much a Wilds thing. Wilds very much makes your character do these very big and cinematic moves. Um, oh, I'm just spinning now. Anyways, um, yeah, I can't say it's really all that bad. Um, Bigger issues are with the wound system in general. Otherwise, it's been, really fun. I have like over 1,000 hours in Wilds already. Um, don't quite have 1,000 hours in World. Not that that really matters. I just do find that game very fun. I like its natural difficulty that it had. Um, Wilds didn't really have difficulty till it's after its title updates. Um, I like the inconvenience this game provides. Wilds really took a lax um, position on it this time around, so that's very unfortunate. Not only that, but I didn't like the heavy bowgun. The way it plays, it's a strong weapon, that's for sure. It's just oversimplified. I don't know, it didn't feel that fun to play. I have switched to the hammer since then, and I have been having a lot of fun with this one. And so much so that I can casually fart tempered arc build. Now that I'm talking about the hammer, I am very curious to see what the boost bracer would do with the hammer. I guess if I took the time to see what Valor and switch skills it had in the older games, I'd maybe be able to give a guess. But the boost bracer is very rocket coded, and I feel like maybe you'll have like a rocket powered spin attack, kind of like when you follow up with the offset. You when you hit the offset and you follow up, you start spinning up just like this. Imagine that, but like rocket powered, and you start like spinning very fast, hitting the monster a lot. So I kind of imagine something like that, or just something of that nature. Very mobile, very fast, and I imagine that moves involving it will spin a lot. Just sort of my guess. I think it'd be cool. A lot of I want to say hammer mains like the spin to win idea, as as the like a general vibe. It's very like I just want to buck the monster really hard, and as the way it is right now is kind of perfect, and I'm very excited to see what the boost bracer could add to the hammer. I am curious as to what it'll do for the heavy bowgun as well, since that is a weapon I like in general. Can't really imagine that much though, because it seems to be very mobility based. But heavy bowgun is not a mobility weapon. Granted, neither is the greatsword, but they've done a really like cool job at like making it attack fast and in a very flashy way. And so I'm hoping something cool will come of it with the heavy bowgun. However, my expectations are kind of kept low just because of, what it is now in the base game. Like, I can't expect that much to change to come in the Ascendance DLC. So, yeah, I'm hoping something cool will come up. If not, well, I'll just keep using the hammer because it's just the weapon I want to use now. I do use other weapons, Charge Blade, Insect Glaive. I am very interested as to see what they'll do with the Insect Glaive. I can imagine them giving it a lot more mobility on top of its already high mobility in the air specifically. Like having a sort of jetpack while you fly around would be really cool. And I'd very much like to see what happened with that. I'm curious to see if there'll be options in general. Um, who knows what'll... I don't know why my guy just stops there. Um, I, I'm just excited in general to see all of the sort of options that'll become present once the expansion comes out. I think I'm more excited about new monsters, just because I think that'd be cooler. We already have that pack monster. We're likely going to get new guardians, because it does look like, obviously there's guardians up there, so there's going to be some type of guardian, I want to say laboratory, kind of like what we have in Wyveria, where the guardians still spawn naturally through the Dragon Torch mechanisms. So something of a similar nature is up there present, and it's not just exclusive to flying monsters, because we got full Ludger and Janath there. I'd very much like to see a Guardian Basilgeuse. Biased because that is one of my favorite monsters, so really hoping we get the B-52 bomber into the expansion. Other monsters just new in general I'd like to see would be Tetsukabra. I think more frog monsters would be cool in general, but I'm not a huge fan of the way that lower tier monsters are just strictly easier in general, and I'd like it if they were more expanded upon and made more difficult through the star system, just like the way they did with 9-star monsters such as Doshikuma and Ajarakan, and especially with what they did with Rumpupopolo. Rumpupopolo? What am I saying? Rumpupolo. I feel like I'm blanking out on the name. Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, I'd like to see things like 10-star Chotacabra and just, you know, lower tier monsters given more of a highlight through higher difficulties. However, they cannot just be higher stats, like more health and more damage. Like, that does not make a monster more difficult. Undead. Yeah, just base higher stats doesn't make them harder. They have to be given a more expressive moveset, as well as more speed in general. I did talk about speed in a prior video. It had some theories, some ideas on how to make wilds better. What the? And some of those things did very much come to light into the game, because I had talked about increasing the level of armor skills. Not armor skills, but the level of armors in general, because it'd be nice to see them more included in the end game, and with the Transcendence system, with the Gogma update, was very much that. So that's very nice to see that lower ranked armor sets were still viable, and I'd very much like to see more of that in the expansion, because oh no. So yeah, as far as armor, for the most part it's fairly well balanced. I don't like too much the way it's set up with defense. I don't really like upgrading defense and using the armor spheres. It feels a bit redundant and makes the end game feel weird, because if you're like starting a new character or something, you could be fighting monsters relatively easy and then suddenly run into a difficulty spike out of nowhere. So I feel like defense could be better managed, but that's neither here or there now. I don't really think they're gonna change that. So I am hoping for sure that there is a better balance with armor weapons. What in the world am I saying? I'm hoping a better balance with um, monster weapons, and I'm hoping that monster weapons will be kept closer in balance with Ardians, so that Ardians isn't the sole like best option. I like monster weapons, and I did talk about a way to keep those closer in balance with Ardians before the Gogma Ardian update came up, but with it, the Gogma Ardian has only doubled down in making Ardian the best in meta, so not a huge fan of it, but it's what it is for now, and I'm hoping that they don't triple down on the update. That's definitely the hope. It would have been better if the upgrade system upgraded the monster weapons more less than the Ardians and kept them more balanced to be closer together. I personally think that would have been much better, and hopefully something like that happens this time around. Um, Not really sure what kind of other monsters I want. I hope there's not too many other what's them called, Elder Dragons. I'm not a big fan of most Elder Dragons actually. I find their design in general rather lackluster. As I was gonna say especially a few, but I think most of them, almost all, are very lackluster. I don't find them very creative or fun. Um, Granted, most Elder Dragons are in World, and personally, I didn't like fighting most of them in that game. And I think they, I hope that they can improve upon their moveset in the new expansion and make them more interesting to fight. Hopefully, Kushala's AoE tornado, um, you know, area negation isn't too much of a annoyance in this time around. But yeah, just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. Um, High expectations on Boost Bracer. Uh, don't have high expectations on the new big monster. I think it's Lao Shang or something. Um, I hoping that Elder Dragons are given proper movesets, just like AT Arcveld. Um, when the base game of Wilds came out, a lot of people liked regular Arcveld. I actually found him a bit boring because I think he was too telegraphed. But when Arc Tempered Arcveld came out, I actually found that much more fun because they improved on his moveset as well as um, made him faster. And that speed increase was very much what made me enjoy his fight much more. Um, because you can increase his health and damage all you want, but he wasn't interesting until he just, felt fun to fight. And the new the new moveset and speed increase was very much a good welcome on my part. So hopefully they do something similar in the expansion with all the monsters and give all the monsters like the attention they I think deserve. And yeah, I'll be doing this daily from now on, talking about the expansion. I'm also going to be watching. I've already watched a dozen already videos of other people's opinions, as I've mentioned about Timu Valstrax and things like that. Um, but I'll be talking about those and uh, sharing my opinion on that. Aside from that, thanks for watching, and I'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.